In the quiet town of Iron River, Michigan, the disappearance of a man seemed at first like just another cold case. But there was something off, an unsettling silence, a wife who didn't cry, a history no one fully understood. It was 2014 when Christopher Regan vanished without a trace. His car was found abandoned, but he never resurfaced. What no one suspected was that behind the disappearance stood a woman with a deadly promise. Kelly Cochran, a seemingly ordinary wife hiding a life of secrets, betrayal and blood. What began as a love triangle would end in murder. And not just of one man, because shortly after, Kelly's husband would vanish too. And this time, everyone knew exactly who was responsible. This is the case of a woman who killed for love, for hate, or something even darker, like this video. Subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments, do you believe Kelly acted alone, or was she part of something far more sinister? Christopher Regan was a 53-year-old Air Force veteran, recently divorced, quiet, and hardworking. He moved to Iron River, Michigan, hoping to start fresh. He worked at a local ammunition plant, enjoyed hiking, and kept to himself. But everything changed when he met Kelly Cochran, a charismatic, talkative woman, who seemed too lively for such a small town. Kelly was married to Jason Cochran, a man far more reserved. Their marriage had long been a fragile arrangement, weighed down by arguments, mistrust, and a dark, unspoken rule. If either of them broke their marital vows, someone would pay. Still, Kelly began an affair with Chris. To her, he was an escape. To Chris, she was a chance at something new. And yes, he knew she was married. What Chris didn't know was that Jason knew too, and his silence wasn't passive. It was growing heavier with resentment. The couple had long made a disturbing pact. If one cheated, the outsider would die. And Jason, emotionally dependent and crumbling, agreed to carry out what they saw as justice. On October 14, 2014, Chris texted Kelly saying he would come by her house. He told no one else. It was the last message he ever sent. He expected another night with his lover. Instead, he walked into a trap. Jason was waiting. Kelly had lured him there, and together, they had planned exactly how to make him disappear. 2 days later, Chris's car was found abandoned near a trail in Iron County. Inside, a note with Kelly's address. No signs of struggle. No witnesses. Police began asking questions, and Kelly was brought in. She claimed not to have seen Chris in days, said he might have gone back to his ex, that he had issues, but something about her answers felt rehearsed. What no one yet knew was that on that very night, Chris had been shot in the head by Jason. In the basement, after being calmly lured there by Kelly herself. It wasn't spontaneous. It was premeditated, cold, and horrifyingly efficient. Chris Regan walked into the Cochran home, believing he was about to spend another evening with Kelly. Something intimate, familiar. He had no idea he was walking into a trap. Kelly welcomed him as if everything was normal, as if Jason wasn't home, as if nothing was wrong. But everything was wrong. Upstairs, Jason Cochran waited in silence, holding the murder weapon. Days earlier, the couple had talked, argued, and finally decided Chris had to die. Kelly led Chris to the basement, pretending she wanted privacy. The house was quiet, too quiet. The tension, invisible, but the plan was already in motion. As Chris walked down the steps, Kelly followed behind. Jason was already in position. It happened fast. A single shot to the head. Chris collapsed without a sound. No time to scream. No chance to run. The pact had been fulfilled. The man who entered their lives became their sacrifice. But the killing was just the beginning. Now they had to make him vanish. Together they dismembered the body. Slowly, methodically. They packed his remains in bags, cleaned every surface, scrubbed the basement, burned what they could. And when it was done, they disposed of him piece by piece in the woods near their home. Some remains would later be found. Others never would. In the days that followed, Kelly acted as if nothing happened. She went to work, smiled at neighbors. Jason, more withdrawn. avoided people, but no one imagined what they had done. The absence of a body protected them. The silence became their ally. Investigators couldn't break through the surface. No evidence. No witnesses. And Kelly played the grieving friend well. Calm, even cooperative. But beneath that calm was someone who had just committed and concealed a brutal execution. The perfect crime. For now. Did you expect Jason Cochran to be involved in the murder? Or did you think he was just another victim? Tell us in the comments. Jason helped, or Jason was manipulated. The story is far from over. After Chris Regan's death, Kelly and Jason pretended life was normal. But inside, everything was falling apart. The pact that once bound them now became a curse. Jason began unraveling, emotionally unstable, using drugs, haunted by what they'd done. He feared Kelly, and perhaps with good reason. Kelly watched her husband deteriorate. The guilt, the panic, the crying spells, and more dangerously, the threats. Jason wanted to talk, said he couldn't live with it anymore. Kelly didn't see a man in pain. She saw a threat to her freedom, and she acted. In early 2016, the couple moved to Hobart, Indiana, to start over, but the ghosts followed them. Neighbors heard arguments, banging doors, shouting at all hours. Jason had reached a breaking point, and Kelly knew it. In February 2016, Jason Cochran was found dead in bed. At first glance, it looked like an overdose, but something was off. The position of the body, the bruises. The autopsy revealed a darker truth. He had been suffocated. Later, Kelly would admit to killing him. She injected him with a lethal dose of heroin, then held a hand over his mouth until he stopped breathing. "It was him or me," she said. He was weak. He would have ruined everything. The man who once killed for her had now been killed by her. But this time the silence wouldn't last, and Kelly's control was beginning to slip. Jason Cochran's death, initially staged as an overdose, raised suspicions immediately. The Hobart police noticed inconsistencies. A carefully posed body, odd bruising, and a bizarre calm in Kelly's demeanor. When investigators connected the dots to Chris Regan's disappearance in Michigan, the truth started to take shape. The links were too strong to ignore. Two men, both close to Kelly, both dead. Kelly was brought in for questioning. At first, she deflected, offered vague explanations, downplayed her involvement. But the web around her was closing, and soon she began crack. In a long, tense interrogation, Kelly started to admit pieces of the truth. She hinted at something bad happening to Chris, then confirmed Jason's involvement. Finally, she confessed everything. Chris Regan had been murdered. Jason pulled the trigger. She helped plan it. And yes, they disposed of his body together. Her tone stunned detectives. She didn't cry, didn't tremble. She spoke with unsettling detachment. Sometimes she portrayed herself as the manipulated wife. Other times she admitted she felt empowered by the murder. There was no remorse, just a cold, calculated recounting of events. Kelly even described the cleanup, the body dismembered in their basement, the careful disposal of the remains. Investigators later recovered bone fragments and blood evidence in the woods near the Cochran home. Every detail she shared was horrifying and accurate. In recordings, Kelly admitted to enjoying the act of killing, that seeing Chris die gave her a rush, that Jason's death was necessary. Her confessions weren't cries for forgiveness, they were declarations of control. And for Kelly, control was everything. The biggest question wasn't how Kelly Cochran killed, it was why. What drove her to such brutality? Was it loyalty, rage, revenge, or something even darker? Throughout interviews, Kelly offered conflicting narratives. In one, she killed for Jason. In another, she killed Jason out of revenge. Then, she claimed both deserved to die. Psychologists who evaluated her found consistent sociopathic traits: lack of empathy, manipulativeness, charm used as a weapon. But there was something deeper, an obsession with control. Her marriage to Jason was toxic. Her affair with Chris was her escape. But when both relationships threatened her sense of control, she erased them. Not impulsively, strategically. Investigators suspected Kelly of more than just these two deaths. In jail, she hinted at having other bodies. She wrote in her journal phrases like, "He deserved it," and "I've never felt more alive." Whether exaggeration or truth, it painted a chilling picture. Kelly wasn't just reacting to emotional pain, she was orchestrating her own twisted justice. A world where she alone decided who lived, who died, and when. For her, killing wasn't a mistake. It was a decision, and one she made more than once. Kelly Cochran wasn't just responsible for 2 deaths. She was the center of a cycle of manipulation, desire, and destruction. Behind an ordinary appearance was a woman who planned murders like solutions. A wife who turned a marital pact into a death sentence. A lover who lured a man into her basement, not to love him, but to kill him. Her crimes shocked not just because of the violence, but because of the motive. She killed to control, to punish, to silence. But most disturbingly, to feel power. Her cold retellings weren't filled with guilt. They were marked with a quiet pride, a twisted satisfaction. Today, Kelly Cochran is serving life in prison, but her story remains a chilling reminder. Killers don't always hide in shadows. Sometimes they smile, offer comfort, and say they love you. And behind the eyes of someone seemingly ordinary, there may be the silence of someone who has killed and feels nothing. If this story shocked you, like the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Tell us in the comments, did Kelly kill for love, revenge, or pure pleasure?